What if life gave you a glimpse of its end before it even happened? Some of the world's most iconic celebrities, whether through dreams, chilling words, or eerie actions, seem to know their fate long before it struck. Did they truly see their own deaths coming? Mikey Welsh, the former bassist for Weezer, made an eerie prediction about his own death just weeks before it tragically came true at the age of 40. On September 26, 2011, he tweeted, "Dreamt I died in Chicago next weekend. Heart attack in my sleep. Need to write my will today." Less than 2 weeks later, on October 8, 2011, his haunting prediction proved to be accurate. Mikey was found dead in his Chicago hotel room. The suspected cause? Overdose that triggered a heart attack. Strangely, he had traveled to Chicago to attend Weezer's Riot Fest show, scheduled for the very next day. Bob Marley. Before Bob Marley became the global king of reggae, he practiced palm reading as a child in St. Anne, Jamaica, predicting others' futures. But what if those same hands held the secret to his own destiny? In 1981, the world was stunned by Marley's early death at just 36. But years earlier, at 24, Marley, sitting in a bar with friends, casually said, "I know I'm going to die at 36. Even stranger is how accurate his words turned out to be. Marley's cause of death, a rare and aggressive form of skin cancer called acral lentiginous melanoma, was nowhere in sight when he made that chilling prediction. Martin Luther King Jr. Let me take you back to April 3rd, 1968. It's a stormy night in Memphis. The rain is relentless, and over 2,000 people have packed into the Mason Temple to hear Martin Luther King Jr. And what he said that night, it didn't just feel like a speech. It felt like a farewell.
Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life, but I'm not concerned about that now. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Less than 24 hours later, on April 4th, 1968, Martin Luther stood on the balcony of his hotel room when a single bullet struck him in the right cheek. It was over in an instant. John Lennon.
From information I received while using a Ouija board, I believe that there will be an attempt to assassinate you. The spirit that gave me this information was Brian Epstein.
Long before that fateful night on December 8th, 1980, when John Lennon shot outside the Dakota, his New York apartment building, he made statements that now feel almost prophetic. During a press conference at Olympia Stadium in Detroit on September 6, 1964, he was asked if the Beatles planned to leave show business within a year. Lennon responded, "No, unless we get or something." But that wasn't the only time Lennon seemed to foreshadow his fate. Just a year later, in 1965, he told a reporter, "We'll either go in a plane crash or we'll be popped off by some loony." Even Lennon's music seemed to carry whispers of inevitability. His posthumously released track, Borrowed Time, included the line, "Living on borrowed time without a thought for tomorrow." Liam Payne. After Liam Payne's tragic death at 31, his former partner Maya Henry revealed something startling. Speaking on the Internet is Dead podcast, she shared,
because he would always message me ever since we broke up, like, "Oh, I'm not well." He would always play with death and be like, "Well, I'm gonna die. I'm not doing well."
To her, those words once seemed like emotional tactics to elicit sympathy until they weren't. Jimi Hendrix. In 1969, during a trip to Morocco, Hendrix visited a clairvoyant for a tarot reading. The cards were laid out, and one in particular stood out, the death card. With quiet certainty, he turned to his friend and said, "I'm going to die before I'm 30. This wasn't just a passing thought. Hendrix seemed to carry that awareness with him, and it surfaced again just 2 days before his death. At Ronnie Scott's jazz club in London, he bumped into journalist Sharon Lawrence and told her, "I'm almost gone." On September 18, 1970, just as he had predicted, Hendrix died at the age of 27 from sleep-induced asphyxiation. Kurt Cobain, Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain, once told a schoolmate, "I'm going to be a superstar musician myself and go out in a flame of glory, just like Jimi Hendrix." At the time, it sounded like the wild imagination of a teenager, but looking back, those words now feel like a roadmap to his tragic end. Cobain was only 3 years old when Hendrix passed, but their lives seemed destined to intertwine. Both came from Washington State, and both were gone by the age of 27.
I just thought, if I'm gonna myself, I should take some, you know. May as well become a junkie, because I felt like a junkie every day.
Tupac Shakur. In one of his singles, Tupac hauntingly raps, "I've been can't tell you how it happened word for word." Those lyrics weren't just poetic, they reflected a reality Tupac knew all too well. In a 1994 interview with BET, he painted a bleak picture of his upbringing. "We are living in a war zone. We live in hell. We live in the gutter. We got 80 people stacked up in one building." For him, survival wasn't a privilege. It was a battle fought every single day. That battle nearly claimed him 2 years before his death. Tupac survived, and while lying in his hospital bed, he told journalist AJ Benza, "I'm going to die young. Not this time, but it's coming." The clock ran out on September 7th, 1996. Tupac was in Las Vegas with Marion Suge Knight when the night turned deadly. 6 days later, on September 13th, wounds he sustained ended his life. His brother, Moprem Shakur, later revealed to Vlad TV, "I think in a spiritual realm, his inner clock, he knew he was going to go early."
I think in the spiritual realm, his inner clock, he knew he was going to go early.